Gamers. It is Thursday, and let's get into it with a bit of a nostalgia kick, maybe? A Jund deck versus a Izzet Twin deck? I don't know. What year is it? No, this is a homebrew Jund Death Shadow versus Izzet Twin. Very, very excited to show you guys this one. It's a long one. If you're looking at the timestamp for it, this is a grind fest between both these decks, and it's a really important one that I wanted to showcase, not just because I'm in the video, but really the main focus is because it's a super important learning episode for everybody. I say that because the way that the sequencing and the way things happen, at one point in the game, we have to do some rewinding stuff, which is like near the end of the video. So if you want to like just jump to that and see what happens and why we have to rewind, it deals with sync to stupor and things like that. So, but we've got a really exciting matchup for you guys. So I'm, of course, NanMan. Thanks for tuning in and listening, watching, hanging out with us, whether you're watching us on your mobile or on your computer or your TV, wherever you're watching. It's cool that you guys are here with us. And we always have modern gameplay action with commentary every Monday and Thursday. So this is our Thursday one, and here is our classic Goyf. When was the last time you saw an actual Tarmogoyf get cast? That's kind of the reason why I wanted to put together this list. I've been missing out on playing a Death Shadow list. I've been missing out on playing Tarmogoyfs. I'm a blue player at heart, but every so often I get this itch to experiment and play and do something weird. This is one of those weird decks that I decided to put up. Where on the other side, it's our Izzet Twin player who has been piloting and grinding and trying to improve the deck to kind of find a best fine-tuned version of it. So we're going to start things off. Of course, we're fine with sacrificing our life here. You see the debate right now. It's like, do we let this go through? Do we fight over this? Thoughtseize is going to try to come out and try to get some information here. And we're fine with it. We're good to let it reveal. So now we get, of course, get to take a look at things. And we're kind of left with this kind of debate of, all right, what's the best thing to focus on? We know for 100% now that it is going to be a twin list. Like going into it, we kind of know based on the lands, but also like Tameo, there's some revealing stuff that kind of leans us toward it. But this is the 100% confirmation that we're looking for, and we do strip away their twin. Now, you could make the debate, oh, why don't you go for one of the counter spells? Why don't you go for the Deceiver? So most of the time, the way to think about it is there's a play set of Deceivers and a play set of Twin in a Izzet Twin list. Some are running like a one of Pestermite. I am doing that in my Izzet list. I'm running a split between Deceivers and Pestermite in my Jeskai control list. Deceivers are the better ones because of their toughness. 4 toughness is really nice. Pestermite has the evasion, but yeah, we got that debate going on. There's a lot of discussion about how to improve the Izzet list or the Twin list because it's definitely a weaker deck in the meta. If you've been seeing some of the tournament results, if you've been watching it, it's super fun to play, and I have a blast being able to pilot it just from the ability to just kind of go, okay, let's jam it and see, can you answer this? Do I win here? It's kind of that break glass in case of emergency win, as well as you're backed up by all this powerful Izzet spells and Izzet wizard shenanigans there. So I like the deck a lot, but it is tough. So now we get to see, let's try to just start doing some jamming. Let's tap down this Goyf here, see what we can make happen. And seeing the fetch land, we've talked about this before. It's one of those that if you're fighting against it, a fetch land is always a tough time if you're playing a twin deck, because if you're seeing fetch lands get popped, that means that there is going to be a fatal push coming out soon after, because you need that revolt trigger to be able to, or revolt requirement there of something leaving the battlefield. I don't think it is a trigger, is it? I don't know. Revolt, destroy target that creature. Yeah, I don't think it is a triggered thing. Maybe. Someone with more judge capabilities than myself could let me know. I do not believe it is, but who knows. All right, so Fatal Push is going to be attempting to get rid of our Deceiver. And we saw the hand. We know that there are the counter spells here, right? We know the Flare of Denial's there, so that's going to be getting rid of that. And there's a push. Now, here's the thing. The Goyf is getting bigger. There is a creature, there's an enchantment, there's an instant, there's a sorcery, there's a land, and there's an artifact. It should be at 6. State-based effects should be letting us know, hey, that's a 6/7. I was doing my best to try to keep track of it. I did not keep track of it well here. Like, I was so used to like Nethergoyf stuff of being like, yes, here we go. Keeping track of my own stuff, but there is an enchantment in the graveyard to make it bigger. That's the only thing that I'm missing from this count. But Thundertrap Trainer is going to come out, of course, reveal our top cards. We're going to pick one of those non-land, non-creature, and we're going to get the Sink to Stupor there. All right, so we are aware. Now, there is that other element. Now, if you're thinking about it, like, bolts are very prevalent right now in the current meta. If you're fighting against a Tarmogoyf and there is that potential, it's like sitting as a 2/3 and there's no instance in the graveyard, don't bolt the Goyf. You're going to have a bad time. Not as relevant anymore because most people don't run a regular Tarmogoyf. Nethergoyf is just so good about being able to reanimate and do that sort of shenanigans. But let's see. Sink to Stupor going to come as a land, and we get to jam out a Tamiyo here. So assembling our wizard army one more time here. All right, so here's where things are gonna like. We're set up in the Jund Adventures of just kind of like jamming lands, sending Goyf across in that kind of mindset here. It's going to be a how can we continue to get information and keep our opponent at bay to prevent them from being able to get the combo off. It's very close life totals. We have a 5/6 Goyf as it's represented on the board, but it's a 6/7. Liliana of the Veil is going to come out here, or attempt to come out here. And we'll do some minusing to make our opponent sacrifice a creature. And this will also give us some information about what they prioritize. What do they keep here? So them getting rid of the Tamiyo is saying, okay, they don't care about getting clues right now. They're keeping this in the chance that they can push and try to kill our Lily. So by doing that, we can make that debate and say, all right, we don't need to push for damage. Also, I guess, you know, swinging for 6 and then doing the trade, like them blocking or them then attacking our Lily puts us in a better spot. I think if we were tracking our Goyf a little bit better here, we might have made the choice to push for damage. But being a little bit more safe is fine, I guess. So we can see our twin players' hand right there. They are rocking out with Deceiver. They're rocking out with a Counterspell and a Flame of Anor.
Let's do some upticking and we'll both discard a card.
All right, both discarding here. Let's start to fight through resources, diminish a little bit of our opponents. Sheldred's Edict there, and a Counterspell going to get discarded for both players. I like a lot of the one-ofs in my Shadow list. So a lot of choices were like, hey, are you going to do like the Jund Saga version? Are you going to be, you know, going from that route? And I decided I didn't want to go the Saga route. I wanted to go Death Shadow instead. And do a little bit heavier leaning that way. If I was going to go for the Saga route, I would do some adjustments to take out a lot of the one-ofs. Like, again, it is just like almost Boomer Jund, right? We're running Liliana of the Veils, we're running Tarmogoyfs, we're doing that sort of stuff. So we see the Deceiver, do some tapping down, and then we do some passing. All right, choices, choices. Oh. Yeah, so one of the things that is the big reason we wanted to showcase this too is like there's a lot of this like debate modes where players are in the tank and trying to find the best lines. What do we do and how are we going to fight over this? All right, we're going to try to do some fighting. All right, let's do an attempt for fatal push. Now we have been, discarding and doing these resource trading, so we are hellbent after this. So it's like the likelihood that this is gonna not survive is likely. Here's Flame of Anor. So we'll draw 2 cards. I mean, they could deal it to the Goyf, but it doesn't really matter. I guess you should deal the 5 to the Goyf in the off chance that you draw a bolt or something that you could just kill it off. But do we pop a counter spell here? Some way to stop it. We do have a counter spell, but we're not popping it at the moment. So we're okay with that. And yeah, go to damage. Lily drops down to 1. Land gets played. Still 2 cards left in hand. And then our shadow player is left hellbent. Well, essentially hellbent, right? They're top deck mode. Cycling a Street Wraith. Again, because we're doing the shadow package, things like Street Wraiths and stuff like that are in there. If we were not running the shadow package, we would not be running Street Wraiths, and that would be for you to run some of those cool artifacts, Shadow Spears, Lava Spur Boots, things like that if you're doing the Saga style. But yeah, there's the 5. I marked it as 6 because we try to keep track of things the best we can, especially post here when we're having to track and edit through the life totals for everybody. So it's one of those things that's like, oh yeah, we can indicate that it is 6 points of damage here. All right, so Flare of Denial, Flame of Anor. So, the Izzet players' mind, they're at 7, not 6, but still, the idea is like try to set ourselves up. So Thundertrap Trainer is going to go down. This will help us maybe dig into another bit of resources that we can utilize here to kind of close out the game. Counterspell's not bad. Lightning Bolt's really good. Gives us kind of a little bit more ways to fight back. I mean, we could just Lightning Bolt and just kill off Lily here and be fine, right? Other option is get another counter spell and just because we know the shadow player is kind of what you see is what they get, right? They don't have any additional information. No, nothing's hidden, nothing's there for us to like be worried about. So it's like, okay, we can. Yeah, so it looks like we are going to grab the bolt here.
I kept seeing it in lists, and I was like, why is this in people's lists? That makes sense. You make an Archon, and then they have to resolve the Archon, turn it right back out. It's funny. But then Archon's custom too, so.
All right. Does the 5 that is indicated on the Goyf make a difference? All right. Upticking. Yeah, looks like we're good. We're debating the Flare of Denial discard here. Yep. And the land gets discarded. we are hoarding that fetch land on the off chance we top deck a Fatal Push or something like that, and we're okay going that route to help protect us against the twin package. All right. A 5/6, aka yeah. So he says it's 5/6, and I say it's a 5/6 because at that point that should have given me the indication of, hey, let's double check what the math actually is for this, because we get a single block here before damage, Flame of Anor, 5 damage, draw 2 cards, where we would have to have our opponent double block and do it. I feel like they probably would make that trade here, knowing that we're hell-bent and we're kind of stuck in this weird spot. But now they've got a threat out and can maybe close the game out with this Thundertrap Trainer. Let's bolt the Lily, get that out of the way, and start the beatdowns with our Otter Wizard here.
I'm swinging. Oh, yeah, sorry. My bad. I'll drop to 8. Go ahead. I'll pass turn.
Yeah, it feels weird to be on like a Jund list like this, where you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna play these, Goyfs, and oh, here's a Death Shadow. That's nice. And now this gives us a little bit more flexibility of having that. And it says, nope, we're gonna immediately hit that with the counter spell.
Pass turn after that.
All right, fetch in, get some surveils. Now we do have bolts of our own. Do I run? How many bolts am I running right now? I don't think I'm running a full play set in my list. Maybe I was. I'd have to look at my list again. That's the one downside, because we have such a great backlog of games right now. Like there's so many good ones that are in the queue to be able to show you guys. So we've talked about it before, but like we've got some more Vengevine action, some Infect coming up, some Yawgmoth versus Hardened Scales, some Mill versus Boros Energy, a Twin versus Twin, some Jeskai versus Grixis Food. We've got some Oculus versus Food, Murktide versus Yawgmoth, Oculus versus Vengevine. Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff in the queue for y'all to watch, and then even more so that I haven't even downloaded yet to put into our queue. That's just sitting on my Google Drive waiting to come out here. But you know what time it is. Going back to the classics, Bolt, Snap, Bolt. Let's do it. Let's close the game. Snapcaster Mage, and there's the Bolt to finish it off. All right, so now we're getting into sideboard mode. What do we have for both these players to be able to go with? All right, yeah, we're just going to go. Let's take 4 to start with, right? All right, we get a good reveal here. So, Snapcaster Mage, Splinter Twin, Blood Moon, and our lovely little Ghost Vacuum and 3 lands. Pretty solid. You get some sideboard cards right in there. You can see like Ghost Vacuum and Blood Moon are 2 of those sideboard cards there. And then you get some solid stuff. You have one of your combo pieces, Snapcaster for versatility, but not a lot of interaction. So you're keeping this hand relying on kind of your sideboard plan, which is perfectly fine as an opener. Hoping that your opponent can't land a big threat before you start to get out the gate, or maybe you're just going to hoping to draw into your combo piece soon and make something happen. Yeah, so we grab the Blood Moon. That also can give a little bit of an indication of what your opponent is like, what their hand looks like, or what their basic land situation looks like. If they're prioritizing that over something else, that's kind of like a way to let you know what's going on. Ghost Vacuum. We've been seeing a little bit more. It's going to become the new sideboard tech for a lot of players. We've talked about how important Graveyard Hate is in the current meta, and that's one of those things. Now, this is, essentially, right now it's a 1-2, but with the Ghost Vacuum, it's an 0-1, and will probably remain that way for quite a while. But, we did get our Deceiver. So one thing we notice is, how patient are players going to be when they're playing Twin? Are they just the jam, go, hope for the best? Are they setting themselves up to guarantee this is going to hit? I'm backing this up with one of my Thundertrap trainers or a Snapcaster on board. I've got, Flare of Denials. I've got Spell Pierces. I've got all these ways to try to help protect my combo. Or we just kind of like turn 3, boom, turn 4, boom. Do you have it? No answers? All right, I win. All right, currently a 2-3 because it does not care about our opponent's graveyard. Nethergoyf only cares about your graveyard. So that's the difference between Nethergoyf and Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf, it cares about both. He's the little baby 1-2. And yeah, now we do that discussion of like, oh no, this one only cares about my graveyard. Not. Yeah, and Tarmogoyf counts both. So yeah, that's another, like, we see these sweet cards that are getting played. Old school cards, new school cards. Speaking of old school, there's the Goyf again. Do we get to keep this one? Did our opponent draw into some interactions? Nope. So this is a lovely 2-3 and a 1-2. Yeah, Goyfs. I don't know. What's the best Goyf deck? All right, if we were going to build, is it Tarmogoyf, like the Tarma Twin? Are you on like Boomer Jund? Is it like the Jund Sagas? Like, what's the best deck to be playing Tarmogoyf in right now? I know you could be like, well, no deck, don't play Tarmogoyf. It's not a good card. A 2-mana do nothing. At least Nethergoyf comes back from the graveyard. That Surveil the Splinter Twin to the graveyard, we know there was a Splinter Twin in the opening hand, and so dropping one down there, it's like, okay, they're not worried about getting hit with another Thoughtseize or anything right now. They're fine. They are prioritizing going for more value. So like, there's all these little nuanced things that we're identifying by the way that both these players are sitting here and taking their turns and doing things. All right, we're missing land drops as a shadow player, which is not a spot that you want to be in, knowing that your opponent is going to be trying to play a combo deck. Eat this.
In response, I'd like to lightning bolt you.
So now we're going to push for damage. Yes, the land will get eaten, but let's add an instant into this graveyard, and it'll at least do a little bit of bolting, dropping our opponent to 13. Foothills gets eaten. Grows our Goyf, which, again, Tarmogoyf has some of the best flavor techs. And then 4 damage, dropping our opponent to 9. So even though we've been missing land drops, we're still feeling okay. We're still feeling like there's a chance or a window that we might be able to get there without our opponent, getting away with too much combo-y shenanigans or counterspell stuff at the moment. But they've got like all the tools that they need. All right, dropping a 7. And the passing turn's interesting here. Like, we saw that there is a Tarmo, or not, I keep wanting to say Tarmogo. We saw that there was a Tameo. We know that there's a Deceiver. So there's a lot of options. And the way that they're setting this up is, hey, we're going to try to do the Deceiver, right? We're going to pay the 3 mana and get this Deceiver out and do some tapping shenanigans. I mean, Ghost Vacuum helps prevent some of our damage. We're going to lose the Bolt. But still no land, so it's 2 versus 4. Lots of, again, back and forth between these players in the tank, constantly debating about what to go for. And because it's like neither player is really revealing too much, right? It's a lot of this sort of, hey, here's the information that I've got. Oh, I've got like 5 cards in hand, and you've got like 6 cards in hand, or vice versa. And so it's like really just sort of like, you know, keeping things close to the chest, which now gets into that sort of mind game element of like, okay, you're going through your checklist of what are these potential cards that your opponent has, and you know, what could I actually be worried about here? All right, here's a Deceiver. All right, Deceiver resolves. It says, well, let's try to tap down this. And we're going to go for an attempted terminate. Now, this is where like a Spell Pierce or something like that saves the day and we're okay. But we don't have a Spell Pierce here. We don't have, you know, a way to stop that, sadly. So we do get that eaten up. I don't know if we have a Flare. Do we not have a Flare? I don't think we do. So Magus of the Moon is our draw, but we don't have any islands. So we get left with this awkward spot of, yes, that is a decent push to go for, but it doesn't. It actually hurts us in a way because then we don't have a way to combo. Yeah, we have a threat like a 2/2, but our opponents are just having Goyfs and slowly growing. I don't think that's as much as maybe a Tameo here. We have Bolt. I don't know. You could do both Tameo and Magus and then try to just draw a bunch of cards because you have the flying. And if things get a little bit too crazy with the Magus, you could just jump it in the way and block something. But yeah, we just go with the pass turn. So combat's going to go. Yeah, so 2 of these coming across. I mean, it's like we know there's the Ghost Vacuum. We know Terminate's going to get eaten. So unless we add another instant into the graveyard, you know, our opponent is living through this turn. Get rid of the Terminate. All right, before damage, we are going to respond. Or, sorry, before blocks here. I said, here's combat, swinging in. All right. And it says, are you good to go 2 damage? Before all that, before blockers, we're going to do some bolting. So 3 damage on it. It is a 4/5 with 3 damage. But here's a Snapcaster. So we'll target this bolt. So we could do a little bit of try to get rid of both creatures here if we wanted to. Right, because the Nethergoyf is an 0/1. But we already have 3 damage marks, so the 2 damage here is enough to kill it. And then we have the bolt to kill off the Nethergoyf. Vice versa, doesn't really matter which one, but this like guarantees making sure that there's no crazy tricks that will grow the Goyf, because there's already an instant in the graveyard. So we should be okay either way for this. So go to damage now. Clears up. Goyf and Snapcaster gone. Another Goyf is 1 power now. I keep forgetting to bring my Tarmodai, but not that it would really have helped too much. But now we get the Nihil Spellbond here. So we're starting to get some sideboard cards coming out for our Jund player. You know, of course, you could sacrifice it and you pay 1 black and you're able to draw a card off it. But now we get to utilize that bolt that we had before the flashback wears off, and we'll just shoot our opponent in the face. All right, another Thundertrap trainer here. Again, it's this weird spot of, like, we don't have a basic island. So I don't mind just the Thundertrap. Again, we're digging for more information here. Snapcaster, land, Flooded Strand, 2 Flooded Strands, and another card. So fail to find. That one hurt. I want to know how often are players failing to find off Thundertrap Trainer. Tameo's coming out as well. So we got double wizard action. Got a Splinter Twin here. Not really helping us in this situation. So we're hoping for something else. Now that we don't have the Tarmogoyf, the Nethergoyf is kind of our only beater. It's a 1/2. It's based on the cards that we have in our graveyard, which, you know, Ghost Vacuum is going to be able to eat up. Stomping Ground, though, because here is the real reason we were running Jund that week, is for this lovely sideboard tech of Choke. How many people have seen this card? Islands don't untap during their controller's untap step. And there's a lot of blue running around. So just a nice little, just, hey, that's cute that you have all those islands. What if they don't untap now and you have 1 land every turn?
Hey, listen, I just got my 3rd land, okay?
Salt on open wounds.
This is why you pouring salt on open wounds. You said, hey, you don't need to, doesn't matter that you're putting that Tarmogoyf underneath that Ghost Vacuum, because you've prevented him from having lands. He's not going to get to 6 mana. All right, Flare of Denial, though, is really nice. We were hoping to have gotten that last turn, though, so we could have put a stop to that choke. So now we're in the, we need lands. But again, the land count for Izzet Twin is kind of low, and we put 2 on the bottom off that last Thundertrap trainer. So it's leaving us with limited resources here.
Yes, you did.
At least we can get clues. So, but yeah, it's like any. The problem is, this isn't like a Winter Orb situation. This is more of a let's just stop you from playing the game. All right. So here's a Goyf, so we can try to get a big boy out here. Would like to try to get that, and that's going to get met with our Flare of Denial. Making sure we leave the Tameo, so that's also, again, giving the information about, hey, we're going to prioritize making clues here. Eat that Goyf. All Goyfs getting eaten. It says, nope, they don't untap. Choking them out. But yeah, this is the thing about the Shadowless that I've noticed, is it is like, yeah, we're doing the grind and we're dragging it out, but like we're not able to like close the game out in the explosive manner that a lot of other lists are. Like a lot of players that if they're going to run Death Shadow nowadays are on the Dimir, they're on the kind of like going for the more the 3-color style of play. For like Grixis, they're not really going for a Jund side of things, just because, you know, Psychic Frog is really good. All right. We were able to put our Choke in the graveyard to help grow. So can we make our Nethergoyf any bigger here. We can pop Nihil Spellbomb, draw a card, get rid of our opponent's graveyard. Guaranteed at least swing for 2. Yeah, pay 1, draw a card. Yeah, 4 cards in hand. But yeah, our goal, our opponent's at 5. So it's basically like we got to land a hit and, you know, find a way to kind of get in there. So we're going in. Here is right now a 3/4, but we're going to do a nice little before damage. Here's a Fatal Push. And that'll be tying things up 1-1 here. So sideboard cards really making a difference there with the choke coming out and just preventing Izzet player from winning, or at least being able to play the game even. So those really hateful cards. But in a world of Blood Moons and things like that and Harbinger of the Seas, why not run a choke or 2, especially if you're in green? But that is going to be moving into game number 3. So thanks for everybody that's tuning in. Again, this is a long one, a grindy one. A lot of decision making's happening. We're trying to work through it and talk through it of why players are making the choices that they're making. So if you're liking the content, consider subscribing. Oh, for those that are still with us, thank you. But we have our big unboxing this Saturday of Modern Masters. Modern Masters 2017. So stay tuned as we open up and crack some packs. 24 packs to open. We got a little video for you all to watch as we do it. All right, 18 to 17. Bobble coming out. And Nihil Spellbomb. Let's do some cheeky peekies at the top. I always try to tell players, like, spend a little bit more time figuring out. I mean, you might see it right away and know, but I think in this case, because it's game 3 and we're already at 37 minutes and we've cut out the sideboard time. So it's like one of those, you know, look a little bit longer, consider it a little bit more, look at your hand, you know, or even if it's a land, it doesn't hurt to sit here and like make it seem like you are reading the card or something like that. Try to throw your opponent off just for a little bit. Not necessarily like slow playing, but you know, mind game them a little bit. At least that's what I like to do whenever I use that card. Ooh, okay, Thoughtseize. Let's get some information. All right, so Flare Denial again. We've talked about this before, but Flare Denial is, and what gets sacrificed or what gets utilized is always such an interesting thing. So them sacrificing the Tamiyo to keep stuff hidden just to lay their own Tamiyo down right after is like, oh, dang. Okay, you really have some good tools in your hand that is probably related to your combo that you're making sure doesn't get revealed yet. All right, let's make some clues. Let's get some resources. So yeah, both just sort of this land go right now as decisions are kind of trying to get set up. So it's just like a check. Hey, how many cards do you have in hand? Okay, cool. How many cards do I have? At this point, we're left in this situation where the Jund player is trying to lay a Nether Goyf, a Goyf, get their life total low enough to play a Death Shadow, basically land a threat on board, where our Twin player is trying to utilize their tools, delay things, counter stuff, set up for a combo, do things like that. Ooh, Flame of Anor. Let's draw some cards. Let's start popping some threats. I like it. I like it.
You know, you always are thinking in 3 mana.
All right, 13 life to 16. Still life total checks. Nihil Spellbomb's kind of annoying, especially since the Izzet player won game 1 utilizing the Bolt Snap Bolt. Getting some Surveillant action going. We have a basic mountain with the Magus in there. I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing some basic islands start popping up soon. We've got a basic swamp out for the Jund player, so maybe that's not as scary and useful this time around as opposed to last game. You have a Twin though, and a Deceiver, but you're left with the coast does not seem clear. We've already done a Flare of Denial. We drew some cards off of Flame of Anor, but you're kind of just this doesn't feel like a situation where you can just kind of jam and go based on your opponent not really doing anything. So I'll try to Thought Seize you. Okay. Land, go. Oh, here's a Goyf. Countered it or killed it. All right, go. And just sort of holding resources. It's why? It's probably just a lot of removal that I'm going to have to fight through. So I'm going to need as much counter potential as possible. But we get the pop of the Nihil now, knowing that there is the counter spell in the graveyard. So is that clearing the pathway? Maybe. Here's another Nether Goyf. Nether Goyf resolves. We got 4/5 powered. He's a 4/5 Nether Goyf there. We still have one in the graveyard that we could do some escaping with if we really cared about it, but then we'll have a bunch of weak things. We don't need that. Ooh, Spell Pierce is nice. Let's pop some clues here. So now that kind of gives us a little bit of opportunity to try to fight through it and jam through it because we have a little bit more protection. And basic island showing up, so if our Magus or something comes up, that gives us more choices. Yeah, and there's the check. Hey, how many cards do you have? 4. Hey, our Izzet player's I'm sure they're all good. And, one of the other players yeah, Jund doesn't play bad cards. It's just, it's just the best red, green, and black cards that you could jam in one deck. But Ghost Vacuum is nice. We, knowing that there is the Goyf already on the board, the Nether Goyf in particular, starting to eat through and shred through that is going to be relevant. So popping a fetch now is also telling, or at least telegraphing, that either there's another fetch available in our opponent's hand, or they don't have Fatal Push. Another Nihil spell bomb. Okay.
Combat. Sure.
All right, let's bring the beats. No blocks dropped. Yeah, it's like we're fine. Like we could eat something, but you know.
How much time is left in the round?
Oh. I don't know if you could hear it. I have it turned down a little bit. Players are asking how much time is left in the round. Time's up. So our Izzet Twin players technically turn 0 here. So try to keep track of it. If you're not used to turns or going to time when it comes to Magic, because it's a little bit different depending on what game that you're playing with. It's like One Piece or you know, things, or Magic. You get 5 turns, passes back and forth. Turn 0 for whoever the active player. Then there's going to be 5 turns after that. All right, turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So essentially, everyone gets 3 turns. And then that's it. No matter who has the greater life total or anything, it doesn't really matter. I mean, a player can concede and things like that during that if they're like dead on board, or they could try to drag it and use the blocks and absorb their life total as much as possible to basically get a tie. Because in this case, it would be a 1-1-1 if we were to tie here and get both these players 1 point. All right, we're going to attempt to play Death Shadow.
He is a 3/3. I would like to pass the turn on that.
End of turn. I want to. Should go to 11.
Yep.
All right, so with players being in turns or going to time, it's all about trying to get threats on board, where the twin players, like, again, trying to assemble their combo stuff.
Deceiver.
So there's the Deceiver. We're going to try to jam it. And here's where things get crazy. So if you jumped ahead, hey, thanks for joining us for the jump ahead to where things got crazy, and we have to do some rewinding because it's going to be happening soon.
Sure, don't want to bolt me instead.
No,
and make
I'm
my
positive.
shadow grow. Yep.
All right. I lied. It's not yet. It's going to be, though. All right, so here's where it is. We're going to try to do the Splinter Twin action here.
And I will abrupt decay your deceiver. Destroy target creature. Non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less. Can't be countered.
All right, so we're going to try to do the Abrupt Decay. Classic Jund versus it. Here's the Sink to Stupor. So here's where the issue comes in. Sink to Stupor returns target spell or non-land permanent opponent controls to its owner's hand. And so we do have the mana to recast Abrupt Decay. That you can bounce and return Abrupt Decay because even though it says non-counter, we're not countering it with Sink to Stupor. In this case, we target our own creature to return to our hand, which we do get a rewind and fix it here in a little bit.
I'd like to thought seize.
You guys should stop your game.
So here's the player saying, "Hey, you guys should stop your game. We need to rewind it and fix this sink to stupor issue."
Okay. So
All right, I've turned up the
Wasn't
volume a
sure,
little
that's
bit.
why I
no,
wanted
you're
to
good.
read
You're
it.
good.
So you're back at abrupt decay. Abrupt decay targeting deceiver XR. So that's before your now spell bomb.
Okay.
Now spell bomb was in play.
All right.
Yep.
Those are here.
Abrupt decay is targeting deceiver XR. Splinter Twins on the stack. I didn't think it worked that way. I just wanted to make sure. And I couldn't bring it up fast enough.
You're good. You're good.
I'm sorry.
No. I missed it. So you were doing this. You're trying to cast this. So you can choose Nethergoyf or Nihil Spellbomb with that.
I guess I'll choose.
Yeah. Choose Nethergoyf return to my.
So I made a statement there that says, "Oh, you can choose one of these two things." Technically, you could choose Abrupt Decay. It doesn't matter because if we looked, and luckily we have the footage to prove that we had the mana that we could cast it no matter what. So,
Untap.
so making the choice to, because we did a rewind to bounce the Nethergoyf is actually better for the twin player because again we're in turns, so there's a limited number of turns available here. So we go Snapcaster's gone, Spell Pierce, and a Bolt is in hand. Nethergoyf, Death Shadow. We're getting some big boys.
You had Bolt, and what was the other card you had in hand?
Spell Pierce.
Bolt and Spell Piercer in hand. So we get to at least write those down and track them a little bit more here. So yeah, I did want to turn the volume up last minute here for everyone to at least hear that discussion because I thought it was important for players to kind of understand some of these weird nuances because it's clear, like I still make mistakes in Magic like many players do, and part of the learning curve is making those mistakes so you don't make them again. Now we know, okay, here's the thing about Sink to Stupor, and here's like, don't worry, it's not the only mistake that we're going to catch and talk about and break down, and it will not be the last one on this channel. So, that's part of the reason we have this channel. Education and fun. Let's get better at this game together. All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, here's the other thing coming up. There's plenty of mana for us to activate Ghost Vacuum. Yeah, so now we're in turn 5, so this is the turn we have to win. So let's move to combat.
Sure.
Bring the team.
Bring the team. Popping the Ghost Vacuum, but we can't.
That is fine.
Ghost Vacuum can only be activated as a sorcery. So our opponent could have activated on their turn, right? Izzet Twin player had the mana. They don't really have much other options, so they would have just activated it then. We get to do some responding. So now we're checking about the Death Shadow because everything becomes a 1/1 spirit. Death Shadow gets minus X equal to your life total. Normally a Death Shadow is a 13/13 that gets minus, so that's why it grows more damage that you take. Because, again, life is a resource. Spend it to grow the Death Shadow. Thing is, though, it is a 1/1 because it comes back as a 1/1 spirit off Ghost Vacuum and then gets -11 because that's how much life total our player has, and so it immediately dies.
I can still, because it's a 1/1 base. I think it's my
So now we're like checking and going through and it's like, oh, so if you like,
Life total.
So it's
So
currently
it's
a
a
1/1.
1/1. It'll get
It's got
minus.
a negative.
yeah, confirming that it is going to just die off of state-based effects here.
State-based effects.
Yep, state-based effects.
Minus 11 because that's his life
Whatever,
total.
minus whatever. minus
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah. So before blockers. I'm
Before
going to
blocks.
terminate.
Destroy. I like how I said I'm going to destroy my Nethergoyf because it is my Nethergoyf. All right, Bolt here doesn't really do anything. Spell Pierce gets. I mean, we play Spell Pierce; it gets countered out anyway. But And yeah, there's the you got it. There's the handshake. Yeah, I really wanted to show you guys that one because of such interesting interaction things, certain things working out the way they were, especially the sync to stupor rewind stuff is, I felt like, a really important one to showcase for everybody here. But this is a long one, so for anyone that's still watching, good on you. That's awesome. I'm glad. But now we do the confirmation about what the mana base was when we did have it.
Sync the stupor's return to hand. It's not a counter spell, so you can sync the stupor abrupt decay.
Yeah, so I had it like this, so I could still do it because I had to terminate and
Yeah, no, you
that,
had
so I
terminate.
I had my mana base.
I mean, it wouldn't have mattered, but you can. It is something you can do. Yeah, it's not a counter spell. It's a return to hand.
Yeah, there you go. Not a counterspell, return to hand. That does matter. That's why like reprieve and stuff gets to see play here. But that's going to do it for us. Again, thanks for anyone that stuck around for this super long one. We do have our unboxing on Saturday, as well as more Modern action every Monday and Thursday. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everybody. And I'll see you all next game.